Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And you are listening to From Ring to Veil,
a wedding planning podcast,
where we share tips and information to help you plan the wedding of your dreams.
Without all the stress.
Information that you need before you meet your vendors. Episode number 75.
So in this episode, we give you some questions that you might not have thought of to ask at your vendor consultations.
Going into a consultation prepared will help you keep on track and remember what you need to know. We have a great list for you. The vendors we've talked to have given you some great advice, but there are some questions out there that maybe you have special needs or something like that you need to ask. So this is just a few that we came up with.
Hopefully it helps you. I know when I'm going into a meeting or something, I feel a little nervous. Do I even know what I'm doing and this and that? So if maybe this will just help you be a little bit more prepared.
Right.
For the first vendor, we have venue, which we had a really good one in episode number 3, actually, one of our earlier ones. So if you really want to get in depth, go back and listen to number 3.
Right. That one was a great episode, and we listened to it again, and then we had some additional questions that didn't really get answered in there that you may not have thought of. Right. So the first one is parking and handicap accessibility. Maybe you have somebody in a wheelchair, someone, or they're hard to walk a long distance. How do they get to the venue from the parking lot? So.
Especially some don't even have like fully paved walkways all the way to where you're going to have your ceremony. So that is a very good question. And I would make sure my guest, going through my guest list, see if there's anybody that would have issues with that kind of a thing.
Yes.
So number 2, the weather contingency plan. What's going to happen if it's a monsoon outside or it snows 3 feet?
If it's mostly an outdoor venue, there's no inside space, what is your plan B?
Right.
You always need a plan B.
Yes, you do. And sometimes a C. But I do have to say that usually your planner, if you've hired one, which we suggest you do, that they will almost always have some kind of suggestion or their own plan B.
Right.
So that is definitely one of the questions you got to ask.
Okay. Number 3, a venue should have insurance liability, insurance.
Right.
Basically. So you need to ask what kind. If something happens at the venue, one of your guests get hurt, how are they going to, what happens after that? So also there's something new out there called wedding insurance. We haven't really looked in depth into it, but it's for cancellation or postponements or something like that to help you with the cost.
Right.
So, it's just like regular insurance you have to pay. If you don't, even if you don't use it, you still have to pay for it. And I guess it's a short-term policy,
right.
Because, you only need it for like 6 months to a year. Anyway, but it'll help you with if you have to cancel or postponement or something like that. But ask your venue, what happens if I have to postpone? What happens if I have to cancel? What happens if there's a catastrophic weather event that happens? Like fire. Like we had here, several venues last year had to be canceled because of the fires that were over in eastern Washington.
Right.
Because the venues were in the fire zone. So, what happens? You're on the coast. A hurricane comes.
Right.
So, you need to ask.
Right. And I thought of another one just off the top of my head. It kind of just came to me, but it might be beneficial to ask how long it takes for an ambulance or the fire department to get out there, because sometimes these venues are very far out.
Right.
It would just be a nice thing to know, a good thing to have knowledge of, just... For me, it would be more of a comfort thing to know. Right. Okay, it only takes a few minutes. That's great. But again. All right, our next vendor is your planner. We also had a very good episode about planners on number 19. And she answered a whole lot of questions for us. But here's a couple more.
So the things that you would probably need to take to your meeting with your planner, your initial consultation, is, if you have it already, your venue info. the estimated guest number, your ideas that you want the planner to help you with, your notebook that you have all of your planning information in, your organizer, because, most well-organized women have it all, nice and neat. And some of them just, here.
Yeah.
It's like you go do your taxes to your accountant and here's a stack of paper and a shoebox. You might have that.
Or you could have your tablet or your laptop or whatever it is that you have your planning on.
Yeah. And also your budget.
Yes.
This is the whole wedding budget.
Yes.
And your planner will help guide you to use this budget wisely.
Right. And if you don't have a budget, you can say, we don't have a budget, we need your help.
Right.
All right. Questions to ask your new planner or your maybe planner. Number 1, are you a certified wedding planner? And this is important because a lot of people will start a business without being certified at all in anything, just because they're good at it.
Right.
Which sometimes people have very successful businesses doing that. But I, for one, like to know that they've had some kind of training, some kind of business training for one, and some kind of training in how to even do this. You know, like it's the same with floral. Shannon's been, not me, but Shannon has been certified in a lot of stuff with floral. You have your certificates and continuing education and stuff. So it's not like she just said, oh, I'm good at putting floral together. I'll just do that.
Right.
So
I've had education.
Exactly.
Education.
I would say, if at all possible, make sure you have someone that has certification of some kind.
Yeah. And if they don't, because back a few years, if they've been in the planning business for a long time, it wasn't, really necessary to have a planning certificate or wedding planner or event planner certificate. But, they've been in the business for 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
You know that they've had lots of, support and experience. So, that's up to you.
And they've dealt with money and taxes, and all that fun stuff.
And they know, contracts and all this stuff. Because, you're going to have, that's legal stuff. You're going to have to know how to handle all that. So, it would be nice if they know what to do with it.
Exactly.
Number 2 is, if our event is outdoor, what's your weather contingency plan? So that's going back to the venue question. You need to coordinate with your planner and your venue for that. Right. Because they're supposed to work together anyway. So, yeah.
Right. And sometimes your planner might be at the venue you're at. So, that would just make it very easy for them. Number 3, what type of planning do you offer? Is it logistic only or design and logistic?
Yeah. Logistical only is, are you just going to, timelines and make sure everything's there on time and, things flow well. Planning and logistical, or design and logistical, she's planning the timelines and stuff, but she's also helping with the design, your concepts.
Decor.
The next vendor is the photographer. Right. And in episode number 7, we had the photography episode. She answered lots and lots of questions. So I would, go listen to that too.
Yes, for more in depth. But this is what you need to bring to your photographer for your first consult. Again, venue info, because the photographer needs to know where you're going to be. Right. Your budget for your photography. Your idea of style of photography that you're looking for. So let's say you have scoured the internet and you found this photographer and you really like her style and you want to discuss it and say, that's what I want. Right. Usually that's why you pick a certain photographer is because you like their style, the look of their pictures, the way they edit, do you like clean and crisp and no fancy stuff, or do you like really fancy and kind of modern or vintage, or that's just why you pick them. So you need to talk to them a little bit more about your vision and your wants with your photographer.
So here's a couple more questions to ask. Do you have a portfolio, and are all the photos in that portfolio are the ones that you shot? So, when a photographer builds a portfolio, make sure that all the shots in that portfolio are theirs.
Right. Sometimes, and I don't know, this is kind of a sticky situation, but it happens. Sometimes photographers that are just starting out will use other photographers' photos in their portfolio until they build theirs. I mean, it has happened.
Yeah.
So it would be a very important question to ask. You shot all these, correct? Or was it your second shooter, or was it your friend who's also a photographer?
Yes.
It's a good thing to ask. To be really blunt and clear, not everybody is honest about this kind of stuff, you know?
I mean, they want your business. So, I mean, if they're starting out, if you're looking to help someone build their portfolio,
right?
I mean, you want them to be honest and say, yeah, these are all of my photos, I promise. Number 2, how do you feel about guests taking photos? We've covered this in many, many episodes. And we have a post on our Facebook page today that this was an awesome picture. It would have been a glorious first kiss picture, or when they pronounced husband and wife and they kissed. But there's this big old camera or phone actually right smack dab in the middle of their faces.
Yeah.
Blocking the photographer's way.
Somebody stuck their phone out just to snap a pic and ruined it for the actual paid photographer. Guests, if you're listening, please.
I mean, it was a perfect moment and a perfect photo, and that phone just ruined it.
It was pretty sad. Yeah. And I know we come down a lot about that. But again, you need to talk to your photographer and ask them, how do you feel about my guests taking photos?
Right.
And then like Kate was on here, she said she doesn't mind as long as they don't get in her way.
Right.
And you can do that. You can absolutely do that. So ask.
Yes.
Number 3, do you have a second shooter, and what happens if you are unable to make it?
Accidents happen. Emergencies happen.
Babies happen.
Yes. So you need to find out their contingency plan, just like you would need a contingency plan for the venue or, your wedding ceremony and reception. They also have a contingency plan. Most photographers have a backup. That's somebody they can call that has the same style, So just ask, make sure they do, because you never know.
I would say pretty much, except for maybe your planner, possibly your planner, all of your vendors would need a backup.
Right.
And it would be good to know who that backup is, just in case.
Right. The next vendor is Floral. And in episode number 13 is where we talked in depth about your floral needs and what to ask and all of that things. So
that's right.
Check that out if you want to. So your floral vendor needs your vision, what you want for her services. So if you have a Pinterest page, this is one where you can say, hey, this is what, I like.
Right.
All those pictures that you pin.
Yep.
Even if it's not the flowers you want, but just the feel and the design and the colors, pin it. Okay. So bring your Pinterest page or, the link so they can look it up. Your floral budget.
Right.
Either your overall wedding budget or your floral budget. Because, as we said before, it is a rule of thumb of 10 to 12% of your whole wedding budget is based on floral and decor. So,
right.
Venue info and table count. The table count needs to be there because you're going to need centerpieces for all of those tables.
Right. Or if you're having centerpieces, you'll need to know how many.
Right. So you need to know how many tables that you're going to have at your reception.
Or at least a approximate guest count.
Because you can add on until a certain time, and then you're going to have to say, your floral designer's going to say, sorry, I can't add that. I've already ordered your floral.
Right.
So, flower choices are also a good thing to have.
Right.
The flowers that you like are your favorite, or a flower that, is special between you and your husband. Maybe he gave them to you on your first date or when you got engaged. Something, just something to base it off of.
Right. It really helps to get the conversation going.
Right.
And the ideas and, the vision going. All right. So questions that you need to ask your floral designer at the first consult. What design styles are you most comfortable with?
Every floral designer has their main style. Like mine is kind of, it's that vintage, fluffy, full styles. I like those, but I can do any style. I can emulate, anything that you want. But that is my main design style. I like the close, full arrangements and old vintage, like the 20s. And, if you watch Downton Abbey.
Yeah, that's what you like.
The flowers in there. I love them.
Yeah.
I watch that show for the flower arrangements. No, not really, but I pay attention to them when I watch it. So, that's my style.
Number 2, do you deliver and set up, and who will do that?
Right. So, our floral company is a small company. It's Kim and I. Mm-hmm. Plus,
super small.
Sometimes our kids.
Yeah. Our teenagers.
Yeah, our teenagers, not our little, our smaller, our younger kids, I guess I should say. But our teenagers.
Yeah.
They help us set up sometimes. But
sometimes our husbands help too.
Sometimes our husbands help too. So mainly it's me, Kim, and I. So we design, deliver, set up, come back, break down, clean up.
Right.
That's what we do. Other companies, they're larger. Their designer may just design the concepts and then you write out all the recipes and the style and give it to their other designers in this company. Yeah, their team. And they design it. Someone from there goes and sets it up. So you don't have that particular designer there to go set up and clean up. And so,
if it's important to you,
right,
that should be one of the questions you ask. Number 3, will you work with my cake designer if I need cake flowers? Flowers for my cake.
Right. So most floral designers will give you flowers for the cake, but we don't like, or at least I don't like to mess with the cake designer's cake.
Right.
So I will give them the flowers to say, you can do with them what you want to. And they usually do.
Right. And it's kind of interesting. We have a friend, actually she was on the show, P&W Cupcakes, Lauren. She deals with fully organic and gluten-free and, just all of that kind of stuff when she does her cakes and cupcakes and stuff. And a lot of times she likes to have organic or pesticide-free floral.
Right.
So if that's the case, you need to make it known to your floral designer and see if they can get you those kind of floral to put on your cake, because sometimes that's an important thing. Right.
And especially if you're sensitive to chemicals and stuff like that, maybe you want to go with those. There are vendors out there that do, pesticide-free growing for flowers. So, you may want to look into it.
It's called Salmon Safe also here, which is very cool. The next vendor is your caterer, and we talked to 12 Baskets Catering in episode number 25, and it's one of my favorites still. I really enjoyed that podcast. They give some really good information in that one. But when you go to your first consultation with your caterer, pretty much everybody's going to need to know your budget.
Right.
So that's the number one thing. Your estimated guest count, of course, which a lot of your vendors need to know. The ideas of food that you want, that you like, that you're envisioning. Are you wanting appetizer? Are you wanting sit-down meal? Are you wanting buffet? That kind of thing. And the venue info, because they're going to need to know some things about the venue.
Right. If they have a space to set up, or they have a kitchen available, or if they need to bring one, So anyway, they need all that venue information. The questions you need to ask that, the ones that maybe not came to your mind when we talked about this before, but what do you do with the leftover food? This is a great question because if they planned right, they probably won't have much.
Right.
But, if you have sudden a drop-off of RSVPs or something like that at the last minute, then you're going to have leftover food. So what do they do with it?
You've paid for that food.
Do you throw it away? Can you box it up? Or can you take it, to a homeless shelter? Or someone, give it to someone who needs.
I think it would be a cute idea, depending on what kind of food it is to have the little takeout containers, for your guests to grab some and take it home.
Right.
Or even, let's say you're not going on your honeymoon right away. Take some of that and eat on that.
Because you probably didn't eat very much anyway.
That's true. When you're talking and dancing, you really don't. You don't eat much, do you?
You sit there, maybe a spoonful here, and maybe a bite of salad there, and the little bite of cake, because you probably don't get any cake either.
Well, except what's smashed into your face.
So, just ask.
Yeah,
it would be nice to know. Number 2, are they licensed and insured? So they need to be licensed by the state. They have to have a health department or the city, or I guess it's the city.
Something.
Yeah, they need to be licensed. They need to have, like a safe food permit and the rest, catering license. So, and also they would need insurance because, who knows what, maybe they spilled something on the floor and somebody, fell.
Or everybody got sick off of something, That would be a terrible, terrible thing, but it can happen.
Yeah. And number 3 is there a banquet manager? That means somebody's going to be there to go to head off all of your catering people. So there's one lead person. It's a manager. They manage all the servers and things like that. So
you, as the bride and groom, will not probably need to do much with them, but your planner will.
Right. And she has to have, hopefully there's that one go-to person that she can go to ask, if there's questions. So
exactly.
And the next vendor is baker or cake, your cake vendor. And we talked to great, P&W Cupcakes in episode number 51. Lauren's great. Go listen to that. It was an awesome interview. Of course, you'll need your budget. The venue info, just so she can know how to, if she's worked there before, how, the ease of access and things like that. Pictures and ideas of what you want.
Right. I know, because they are designers too. They usually have their own design style, and that's why you pick them.
Right.
But if there's something that really stands out to you that you're like, I just love that. I really want something like that. Please take them a picture, because they'll always... I mean, as a creative person, that's just really good to give you inspiration. And, okay, this is what you're looking for. I know what kind of feel to give you. You'll be happy.
If you can compromise with her design style and yours, then that's, that works. Has to be a great relationship. So,
that's right.
Also, you need an estimated guest count, so they know how much cake or cupcakes or baked goods that they need to produce to give you a correct quote.
Right.
So,
on to questions that you need to ask. What do we do if the cake gets damaged, like say in transport or
setting it up on the table, or someone knocks the cake table over?
Right.
It's happened.
It has. Now, I'm thinking at the reception, it's already set up. Your cake person's already gone. The party has already started. Somebody knocks it over.
Yeah.
That's all on you.
Right.
That's not her. But if she or he is bringing it to you and turns a corner and it falls over,
or has a small accident where she has to slam on the brakes or something.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen.
Right.
So what does she do then?
I've always wondered that.
Well, if you watch Cake Boss, sometimes that happens,
and they fix it.
They can fix it because they have a team of people to fix it. They bring stuff to fix it. Hopefully, yours at least brings either a little extra, but when it's one cake, it's, what can you do?
Brings the tub of icing. And
slathers it on.
Anyway.
Number 2, how far in advance is the cake made or cupcakes made?
Sometimes they bake them and put them in the freezer, and then closer to the date, they thaw them out, and then they ice it and decide it. So,
Yeah. And as we found out, actually, from Lauren, that sometimes when she bakes it, it's really good for the first 2 days, and then it starts getting hard.
Right.
And I'm sure when it's that kind of a thing, they wouldn't bake it a week ahead of time.
Right.
But it's just nice to know how fresh your food's going to be, or your cake is going to be.
Yeah. What are icing options? Because you may not want fondant. I don't like fondant. I would rather have buttercream. But then it depends on the style of cake.
Right.
If you want that clean line cake, buttercream's probably not really going to be what you want, because you want the fondant to smooth over, to make it all nice and clean and neat.
And if you're doing the naked cakes, what do they use to drip and drizzle on if they're doing that kind of thing? it's just nice to know and make sure that everything is exactly what you want it to be.
Right. And also, I think you should discuss allergies and stuff like that. Because, sometimes they put, almond extract or...
That's true.
Nuts in there, or, something like that. So make sure you, ask or let them be aware.
That's true.
Of your allergies.
All right. Last vendor we have for you is the DJ. We had a DJ in episode number 21. Go back and listen to that if you want more in depth. But what you need to bring to your consult is your budget. Your venue info. They also need to know the venue info so that they can get a hold of them to find out about electricity and all that kind of fun stuff.
Where they're going to be set up. So.
An idea of what music you want. Now, like we've learned, they will help you pick out music if you want them to. But if you kind of have an idea, and hopefully you've gone to their website and listened to see what kind of playlists that they put out, and it kind of suits what you do, just, have a good idea of what you like and let them know.
Right. If you like a certain genre of music, you want, a lot of that genre played. So, you may need to intersperse it with the other kind of dance music.
That's right.
Because you want people to dance and have a good time.
Yes, you do.
So the questions you need to ask that you may not have thought of. Do you have the ability to mic the ceremony as well as the reception?
That would be really good, especially if it's like an outdoor venue that has no sound system at all. Right.
Because, really your guests want to hear you say, I do.
Yeah. And, your vows and stuff, So it's just a nice... extra, and it may be extra in their packaging, or it may be included. It's just a good thing to have, especially if it's not indoor, like at a church where they already have a system set up.
Number 2, will you create the reception timeline, or will you work with my planner? Sometimes they like to do their own, or you can coordinate with them to do their timeline, part of their MC duties, I guess you could say. But I would think they would need to coordinate with the planner, because your planner is the one doing the whole timeline. So, they kind of need to get together and talk about that, or, phone, email, something. So, just ask if he's comfortable coordinating with your planner.
We always say he, but there's girls out there too.
I know.
But again, another question that I thought of right here is you might ask them if they've worked with your planner before, because if they have a working relationship, then it might be much easier for them to plan this out and make it the perfect wedding reception.
And number 3, what kind of space or stage do they require? Do they need to be set up on a pedestal, a large stage or can they just sit, kind of tuck in the corner? It depends on how much equipment they have, because some of them have lots of equipments and lights that need to be set up, but some of them just have, you can get away with a 6-foot table and they could put everything on there or something like that.
Just shove them in the corner.
Yeah. Poor DJs.
Nobody puts the DJ in the corner. Yeah. So that's all we have for you today. But hopefully we've covered pretty much everybody. And your first consults, you'll know what to bring. You'll know what to ask. You'll go into this a lot less stressed and anxious and nervous than you would before.
And if you think of other questions that you thought we should put on here, let us know. And we'll put it in the post or whatever.
Definitely. We will definitely put them in the post notes. And you can print this all out from the post notes.
Right.
Not a big deal. All right, so we are going to be in Vegas. Woohoo! October 2nd through the 5th for a wedding conference.
What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas, so shh.
For a wedding conference, we are wondering if we have any Vegas listeners and if you guys would like to meet up with us. That would be so fun.
Yeah. Just let us know and we can try to carve out a spot to come see you, because we looked at the timeline yesterday for WNBA and it's full. Yeah. So,
well, Sunday night maybe.
Yeah, Sunday night's good because we'll get in Sunday afternoon. So,
So I think Sunday night would be the perfect time. Oh, I hope somebody contacts us, even if it's one person. That'd be so fun. So if you are there and you do want to meet up with us, or if you just want to send us a comment or question, please email us at info@fromringtoveil.com or #fromringtoveil on Twitter or Instagram, and we will get right back to you and set up a time.
So don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Leave us a review, send us a message, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Let us know what's going on with you.
And as always, until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm and listen on. Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter, @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, FromRingToVeil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.